Hey, everybody, it's your man, Dr. L. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. Really appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. If you're not a member of the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button. Let's make the channel grow. Let's make it do what it do, right? All right, so we're going to jump off here and we're going to get into something that is, kind of going around, at least on my feed here. Those who are interested in this particular space and keep holding cops accountable, but also there's this idea about just bothering police officers for seemingly no reason, and I'm going to try to show what I think is unnecessary provocation. um, Sometimes agitation is good, no doubt about that. Sometimes agitation is good. We got to hold our public officials accountable. But what I don't see a lot of times is happening is holding the public elected officials accountable to any type of degree or manner. So we'll get into that a little bit. If you're new to the channel, this is me. This is me right here. I am why did that come up here? So this is me, 24 years of experience. I was a supervisor, field training officer, defense tactics instructor, all that kind of stuff, right? I have a PhD in leadership, life coach, DEI certification, master's of forensic psychology. I'm an adjunct professor, and that is going to become important because I'm going to claim fair use, all that kind of good stuff right here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a situation that happened in my great state of Connecticut, in which some officers did not act with the best of knowledge and skill, and this has become something that's problematic. How long have we been filming police officers? At least 10 years now, right? 2014, 2015 or so. It started to become a big deal when I became the midnight shift commander, when we had people showing up, videotaping us and all this type of stuff, right? Or recording us. And it really became a big issue. So why this is not seen as a situation for me that has not been taken more seriously, and we're still ending up in these positions, is quite curious. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this guy here. Uh, put share screen on here. First time. All right. All right. So this is a guy here who enjoys going around here, and I'm going to he actually did a, put this over here. All right. So he actually did basically an interview. I'm going to react to that interview. All right. So what this is this guy is Long Island audit. Long Island audit got a some sizable following, 973,000 subs. The first time I stepped foot in Connecticut, I was unlawfully arrested, corruption, Corrupticut, origin story. All right. So this is this guy who is, let me put this one out here. So this is this guy who goes around here just provoking police officers. This is the first time he stepped in Connecticut, and just lo and behold, hey, who doesn't just go around and just whipping out cell phone cameras in post offices or in other federal buildings? Who knew, right? Who knew that this was a thing that people didn't just do on the regular? So this is this guy's spiel here. All right, so we're going to watch this video. I did speed it up a little bit. I am claiming fair use, and this is an educational project for police officers and for the public. Again, so here we go. So again, this is the video that he uploaded. It's about 12 minutes, 24 seconds long. This is him. He walked into a post office here in the great state of Connecticut, and just whips out his camera and just begins to record. So here we go.
Right now, I'll call the cops.
Excuse me?
It's a federal building. You cannot recording here. Can you please turn the camera off?
No, ma'am.
I'm the supervisor, so you can stop recording or I can call the cops. Which one do you want?
You're not going to get my ID.
They do not want to be recorded. If she asks you to leave, then you need to leave.
You guys got to learn the law if you want to uphold it. Come on, man. Go over
You
there.
haven't showed us your credentials.
I don't need to, sir. This is the United States of America. They need to know.
You have to turn around.
Whoa, I'm not resisting.
The disgraced former. No, after the. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. I
guess that's the new rage. I guess that's the new rage now, where people are, trying to get you in the first 5 to 10 seconds there, and trying to make it seem like it's something big is going to pop up. I don't know. Maybe I need to start editing that in here. But anyway, so here we go. So he's going to start off this particular video by demonstrating his former interaction with a Connecticut State Trooper. He went on this Connecticut State Trooper's property, and knocked on his door. The trooper told him to leave. his own property, his own personal address, went to this man's house, found his address. This is why, I'm not in favor of any type of information for law enforcement being leaked online, et cetera, et cetera. Now, in this particular case, he looked up this guy who was this officer, Sergeant Fahey, former, I guess he retired now, Sergeant Fahey, and wanted to know why he was receiving so much money in overtime. Why he needs to go to this man's house. He obviously didn't need to do that, but he was just being deliberately being provocative. So, all right. So let me just say, when you guys send me a video, please make sure that you send me the entirety of the video, right? If you send me little bits and pieces, I don't get the full entire story. So in this particular story with Sergeant Fahey, I think I initially said that the sergeant was correct after watching the full scope of the video in which the guy walked up on his property, and which Sergeant Fahey told him to leave, and then he's backing away. Yes, I think that Sergeant Fahey was a little bit aggressive and excessive in his actions. All right. So please make sure you send me the full context of everything that's going on. All right. So let's continue on playing with his time in the post office here.
Oh no, after the disgraced former Connecticut State Trooper Brian Fahey threatened me with a firearm and spat in my face, I was unlawfully arrested by the Groton Police Department and charged with 3 crimes, including felony voyeurism for peacefully exercising my First Amendment rights. This situation is typical for Connecticut, which is why for years now I have called it Corrupticut. In today's video, I wanted to highlight the first time I ever stepped foot in Corrupticut 4 years ago, where I was unlawfully arrested by the Waterbury Police Department, to show each and every one of you that unlawful arrests are the norm in Corrupticut, but so are our victories.
It's the norm. That's what we do.
Let's get into it.
Excuse me,
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
you cannot be recording in here.
I'm sorry?
You cannot be recording in here.
Why?
You can't, it's a federal building, you cannot record in here. And why are you recording our machines and stuff?
I moved out to talk to you.
Let me see. Tell Diana, come downstairs, please. Can you please turn the camera off?
No, ma'am. I'm not going to do that.
Guys, recording our registers. If you won't turn this camera off.
Get out of the office right now or I'll call the cops. Get out.
Excuse me?
Get out or we'll call the cops.
Who are you first?
I'm the supervisor, so you can stop recording or I can call the cops. Which one do you want?
Well, I'm not going to stop recording, unfortunately, ma'am. What's your name? Can I get your name? Wow. Everybody seems friendly here. How are you doing today?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
You have issues?
I'm not having any issues, no.
No?
Can I get your name?
You call?
This gentleman right here.
I don't know why this cop's hat is on backwards. Jesus. I don't know. What are you doing, brother? What are you doing?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
After you leave, you go to eat.
Okay.
You won't stop recording.
Okay, you gotta leave.
Okay. First, let me. Yeah. You're not.
Record.
Yeah. You're not going to give it. You're not going to get my ID. Let me. Can I?
Okay, so here's the situation here. So he was in this office here recording, and as he's recording, for whatever reason, he turns the camera on, right? Just to be provocative. Again, who doesn't just go in there? And I mean, I'm sure people do it all the time. Just walk into federal buildings, just start hitting the record button, just for no reason, just for kicks and giggles, right? You guys do that all the time, right? So he's told to stop, told by a supervisor to stop, and then the officers come here and then demand his identification. In demanding the identification, Connecticut, to my knowledge, has not instituted that you have to identify yourself. In other words, unless you're being investigated for a crime, some states will require you to submit your identification. In this particular case, he is now being investigated for a crime. What crime would that be? He's being investigated for trespassing, criminal trespass in the 3rd degree, right? A supervisor or a manager or an owner of an establishment tells you to leave the business or someone's home, you have to leave, right? They have the authority to tell you to leave. You don't leave. Now it's a crime. Now it's criminal trespass in the 3rd degree. So this is what they would be investigating, right?
Can I get your name first?
It'll be on the report.
Let's de-escalate. Let's de-escalate, right, fellas? That's what you guys are trained to do. Let's de-escalate. So, hi, my name. Okay,
This is a federal building,
I understand that.
okay? All right.
Mm-hmm.
You have private citizens in here,
Okay,
okay? And they do not want to be recorded.
okay.
All right, you understand that, correct?
I understand everything you just
That's
said.
number one.
Uh-huh.
Number two, the woman over there is in charge of what goes on in this building. If she asks you to leave, then you need to leave.
Okay.
All right?
So-
That's called trespassing. You understand that?
This is, you can't be trespassed from public unless you trespassing from public.
No.
Sir, can I just get your name before we finish our conversation?
That is not true.
Your badge is
That is
22?
that is not true.
It is true, sir. Sir, can you call a supervisor?
Absolutely.
Can you call a supervisor? Because can I show you one thing over here? Maybe you want to take a look at it? Because I don't think they really know their, these are the rules governing.
I get what you're trying to
No,
do.
but no. Listen, yeah, but
your
okay.
Disturbance here, but.
I'm not making a disturbance.
You gotta leave.
Look. These are the rules and regulations governing the postal service. This is the rules. He doesn't have a mask on.
Okay, he's got his COVID shot. Double
How
vaccinated.
do I know that?
Today's maskless day, did you know that? If you're double vaccinated, you don't have to wear
Oh,
a mask.
so if I'm vaccinated, I don't have to wear it.
Double vaccinated,
So if I'm double vaccinated,
double
I
vaccinated.
don't have to wear a mask then?
Correct today.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that. All right, so let's just pause here for stage identification. What he's trying to show them here is, let me remove this here. Let's stop sharing this here. Stop screen share. So what he's trying to show him is the federal rules here. We'll pull this up here. Screen share. So this is from the Department of Homeland Security, federal rules and regulations for conduct on federal property. So this is what I just pulled up right now. So I think that this is what he is attempting to share with him. So it's got all the different type of rules, right? Purpose and scope and applicability, agency cooperation. Let me see, there might be an agency cooperation scope. Notice doesn't say agency cooperation here. Notice cooperation. Federal tenants must cooperate to the fullest extent possible with all applicable provisions set out in this part. Promptly report all crimes of suspicious circumstances occurring on federal property to the first Federal Protective Service, mega center as appropriate. The local responding law enforcement authority provide training to all employees regarding protection and responses to emergency situations. So that would be, if there's a situation called local law enforcement, most police departments would have some type of reciprocity agreement, whether it's understood or written, with their postal agencies. That's why she's going to call the police rather than the U.S. Postal Service and their legal or lawful arm and law enforcement arm. Right, so that's why she's going to call them. Right, so we go down here: no gambling, narcotics, alcoholic beverages, listening, debt collection, right, and then photography and recording. This is section 139.65, photography and recording. General, any person on federal property may not photograph or create a video, image, or audio recordings on federal facilities and grounds in a manner that either impedes or disrupts access to or operations on federal property. So you can't go there and impede what's going on there, or is prohibited by security regulation, rule, order, or directive. Photography and recording on federal property are allowed as provided under paragraph B of this section. Exceptions: the following activities are allowed. Any person, including persons affiliated with media and commercial entities, may photograph or record video, images, and audio publicly accessible exterior of areas of federal facilities and grounds from public areas, including public streets, sidewalks, parks, plazas, when not impeding or disrupting access to operations on the federal property. Any person, including persons affiliated with the media or commercial entities, may photograph or record video, images, and audio publicly accessible interior of federal facilities and grounds from public areas, including public entrances, lobbies, foyers, corridors, or auditoriums, when not impeding or disrupting access to the operations on the federal property. So, Any person, including persons affiliated with the media and commercial entities, may only photograph or record video, images, and audio of the interior areas occupied by a federal tenant with the express permission of the occupying tenant. Persons must obtain written permission in advance from occupying tenant when photographing or recording tenant-occupied space for a commercial use. So that's commercial use, right? Okay. So this is what I would assume he's trying to point out to these particular officers on this day and time. So we got to be, as officers, you got to be knowledgeable about what is going on here, what can and cannot be done, etc. Right? So, we'll get back to this. We'll put this back up here. We'll maybe come back to that. We'll see. So anyway, so that's the law. And so we'll go back to this situation here. And here we go, playing it here.
Okay. So these are the rules and regulations governing the postal property.
Okay.
And right here, photographs for news, advertising, commercial purposes are permitted in the lobbies. I am. And you will see it. I don't need to. This is not Nazi Germany. This is not Nazi Germany, and this is not Venezuela. I don't need to show you my papers.
You're causing annoyance and alarm.
No, I'm not. I'm peacefully filming. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing.
Now, this was 4 years. This was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, and it probably was updated. The rules that I read were. This is from currently. I'm not exact. I don't think they read it verbatim, but this is the issue here. And he says he's a journalist or a reporter.
Clues.
I'm just gonna grab it.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing here today. You know what I mean? I'm not here to have any problems. I didn't talk to anybody. It's all on video. I'm sure that it's a shame. You think so? Do you think exercising my First Amendment right to film in public is a shame? Do you take by filming? You can't turn a constitutionally protected activity into an annoyance. You understand what I'm saying? You took an oath, right, to uphold the Constitution. Come on, man. You got to take your job seriously. You got to really, you took an oath. That's serious. You're a man. You got to take it seriously. All I'm doing is exercising my First Amendment right. That's it. I'm not ignoring anybody. All I'm doing is filming in a public building. That's all I'm doing. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Viewing sensitive information.
I'm not viewing
personal sensitive information.
The onus is not on me, sir. The onus is
filming over there. Then you might be doing something wrong.
No, the onus is not on me to protect information at the post office. I don't work at the post office.
You have nothing better to do.
To exercise my right? No, I think it's very important. Okay. We live in the United States of America, correct? I think it's very important. First it's filming in public, then what's next? You know what I mean? You guys got to do your job. Asking me for ID, I haven't committed a crime. Where's your reasonable articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime?
Reasonable articulable suspicion would be now that you're trespassing in the third degree because the owner of the establishment asked you to leave. But we'll dive into that in a little bit here.
Come on, you guys know. All right, maybe you didn't, but your partner did, right? You guys got to learn the law if you want to uphold it. Come on, man. I'm not trying to be an asshole or anything. I'm just trying to be real with you. I'm trying to be. I understand. I'm not saying that you did. And I'm not saying it's against the law if you did. I'm just saying, you don't have a right to my ID, so why would I give it to you? They used to ask for ID in Nazi Germany, and look how that turned out. Just peacefully filming. This is a beautiful post office. I'm working on a story. Where I'm from, they don't have post offices.
I wonder what story that is, and did he ever publish it? Did he ever publish this story?
It's this big and beautiful. You guys are very lucky here. Waterbury.
We're lucky to have a beautiful post office. Okay.
I actually would like to speak to the postmaster. Are you the postmaster? Didn't look like it. You guys got body cameras out here in Waterbury? No?
I wouldn't talk to him either. I wouldn't talk to him. Provide him your name, badge number, and that would be it. Right. And then unless we're going to have a dialogue about the current situation, I wouldn't just answer random questions. Filming people as they walk by. I mean, but this is what they're allowing.
Okay, so you've been asked a total of 4 times to leave.
According to who?
Huh? 4. I got 4. I got 3 times by the
Okay.
clerk and 1 time by the supervisor.
I want to speak to the postmaster.
Okay.
I don't want to speak to a supervisor. I want to speak to the postmaster.
No.
Sir, I'm going to let you know I'm engaging in a First Amendment protected
Okay.
activity.
All right. But
You are
also
not.
trespassing.
No, I am. You cannot trespass in public, sir. I'm engaging in. I have business here. I'm working on a story, sir.
That's the lead by the person in charge here.
Sir,
That's trespassing.
get your supervisor.
Okay.
Get your
That's
supervisor.
trespassing.
Get your supervisor, please.
You have, you,
Again, I've mentioned this a number of times. You think the supervisor is going to take some different tact? They might, they might, but you know, again, this is where it's going to get a little sticky at. So just bear with me here.
they're on the way.
Thank you. I would love to speak with them because this is a First Amendment protected
First of all,
activity.
Let's do this. Let's do this. You work with me, I'll work with you. We're going to step outside because I don't want to disturb any more of the public here.
Well, I'm not disturbing anybody. You
Yes,
guys,
you are.
you guys coming here are disturbing
Absolutely.
people. Yes, you are. I was peacefully filming. I was peacefully filming.
You cannot just film.
Yes, I can. It's a First Amendment right, sir.
No, it's not.
You don't know the law. You took
There
it.
you can't. There you can't. All
You
day.
took,
There you can't.
sir. It's right on the board over there. It's right on the board
You
over
still
there.
haven't showed us your credentials of either the news or what.
I don't need to, sir. This is the United States of America. This is not.
So how do I know who
North
you are?
Korea.
How do I know who you are?
What do you mean? You don't need to
Turn
know.
around. You have to turn around.
Whoa,
Yeah, put this
okay,
down.
okay,
Put your hand down.
okay. I'm not gonna resist. I'm not
No,
resisting.
you're not resisting.
I'm not resisting. Here you go. Do what you gotta do. I want to speak to the
You're
supervisor.
gonna be under arrest for trespassing.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Okay. Okay. You guys are making a big mistake here, sir. I was peacefully filming in a public place, exercising a First Amendment right, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I was
You were
doing.
also asked to leave several times by the people that work here, that have charge of this place. And you can review statutes on trespassing.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure, sir.
So this doesn't happen in the future.
Okay. I mean, it's never happened before because the police officers know that I can't be trespassed. But I mean, obviously here in Connecticut, you guys don't abide by the Constitution. So, I mean,
Obviously, and that's sarcasm.
it is what it is. This is what you guys like to do. Violate people's First Amendment rights. Can I get that supervisor now? Okay.
You got anything on you I should know about?
No, sir. Just whatever you took from me.
Got your camera?
Yeah. Did you turn off my phone? Did you turn it off?
I don't know.
Okay. Don't turn off my phone, please. It's recording,
Yeah,
so
I know. It is.
that would be another civil rights
I'm
violation.
happy it's recording.
Okay, good, good.
You know?
I've been very reasonable with you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's why you're not going to get a breach of peace or disorderly conduct. You actually have been very nice. Okay? But
All right, fellow patriots, after I was unlawfully arrested by the Waterbury Police Department, they unlawfully seized my camera equipment for approximately 11 months while I fought the charges pro se, meaning I represented myself. I will just note that I was not given a $75,000 bond like in Groton. I was released on a promise to appear and never missed a court date. After traveling back and forth to court for almost a year, I was able to defeat the overzealous state's attorney, and the judge dismissed all the charges against me with prejudice after I filed a motion to dismiss challenging their jurisdiction. I thought it was important to show all of you this victory because it's exactly what I plan on doing again in Groton. The difference is this time
I didn't catch that the first time I watched this. He challenged their jurisdiction. In other words, he's saying that because the challenging the jurisdiction would say it's on federal property, and therefore the city or local officers did not have the right to do what they're doing. I didn't catch that the first time I watched this, but I think that that's going to be important as well.
I have the resources to hire one of the best attorneys in Connecticut for myself and my cameraman, thanks to all of you who have supported me throughout this injustice. Tyranny may be commonplace in Corrupticut, but it is not all powerful. We, the
Okay, so he goes on in there about that spiel. So there's two basic principles. And again, you know, in the list of accomplishments that I have in my bio there, I did not put up that I'm a lawyer or went to law school because I'm not, and I didn't. So, but I do want to emphasize two basic principles here, and that is the plain view doctrine and the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. So the plain view doctrine talks about police officers being in a legal place at the legal time or at a time that is reasonable. In other words, uh, generally, when the police are going to see something, they're going to take something, or going to act in any type of manner and take any type of conduct, they have to be in a place where they have a legal right to be. So if you are, let's just say you have an ounce of cocaine in your in your vehicle, right? So you get pulled over in a motor vehicle stop based on the police officers walking up and seeing and peering into the car, making sure, doing a brief cursory search with his eyes of the eyes and eyes alone of the interior of the car. He sees a baggie of cocaine, crack, whatever, some illegal substance and or a firearm. Because the officer has pulled you over and has a right to be where he is at the particular time, he or she is, that then they have the right to act upon it, and that would be the plain view doctrine, right? So, and then the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine is going to be when officers act in any type of manner. The original charge, or what was the original sentiment, statement, action that caused the police to be in this particular place. So that's why I kept harping on the criminal trespass, because the police were called there because of the criminal trespass. The police were called there because of a criminal trespass. The owner, excuse me, the manager, the supervisor of the post office asked this person to leave. Asked this person to leave. And the person refused to leave, refused to turn off the camera. So as a result of that, then the police get there and they're operating on this person who is lawfully and legally asking you to do something, has asked you to leave. Okay. The problem is, and this comes to the part that I just caught right here as a problem of jurisdiction. Now, again, there has to be, and there is, let me see if I can find it here. Okay, so I got this particular item here, and this says Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers. And this was a podcast, I guess, and this is the transcript that we're going to go through here. I'm not going to listen to the podcast, but it's territorial jurisdiction on federal property. And this is what they were arguing about in this particular context here, right? So you can go this is a person named Solaris. Welcome to the next episode of our podcast series. I'm Jenna Solari, a senior instructor in the FLETC Legal Division. That's got to be Federal Law Enforcement. I don't know, something training commission, something. All right. And with me today is another senior instructor in legal division, Steve Perry. Today we are going to be discussing exercising a federal law enforcement authority on government property, and as always, in which federal law ownership of land or property may affect law enforcement authority on those lands. Steve is our resident expert here. So Steve, if you could tell us, listeners, about yourself. And this is Perry. This is a little bit about him. Thanks, Jenna. I've been in law enforcement for 30 years now. Most relevant to what this little podcast is about is my experience as a federal law enforcement officer with the U.S. Forest Service. I worked in Idaho, Montana, in various other states, both as a uniformed officer and as an agent. About 4 years ago, I took a job as a regional chief and spent 3 years up in Alaska with the Fish and Wildlife Service. So this is who's going to be speaking to us about how to act on federal property. So what I did was I put in the rest here, and this is going to get a little, and it's not as clear cut as we'd like it to be. All right, so let's read from right about here. So Perry is stating, this is the resident expert here. The United States can also own land under either exclusive or concurrent legislative jurisdiction. These categories are basically self-explanatory. If land is owned exclusively, the federal government takes over all the law enforcement responsibilities. This is important because this is what, according to the other guy in the video there, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name. The audit guy, right? This is what he was saying that they were arguing about as far as jurisdiction. Who has the ability to authorize or to investigate and to make an arrest on federal property? Because local jurisdiction, the question is, does local jurisdiction, i.e. the police, the city police, can they make an arrest or enforce what the supervisor of this particular place was questioning? Federal officers and agents are responsible for handling all investigations in cases, and the local police do not come onto the facility to investigate or arrest suspects. The only power the non-law enforcement officers would have in an area of exclusive jurisdiction would be to serve process, in other words, summons or subpoenas. So, Laurie, all right, so state and locals then come onto that piece of property that has exclusive jurisdiction to serve summons and subpoenas. That's correct. Okay, so to the remainder of all law enforcement, work done in that jurisdiction then would now be the responsibility of the government alone, right? This is a question of jurisdiction. Yes, and that can be a real disadvantage if the agency lacks law enforcement resources to handle the crimes occurring there, right? So again, if they lack law enforcement resources, right? Do you have federal agents on station? That's the question. Do you have law enforcement agents on station to handle this, whether it's a post office or whether it's some piece of large federally owned territory or land? Most of the federal property owned in the 1800s would house an exclusive jurisdiction. Today, it's probably the category with the fewest number of properties. However, military installations, federal buildings, post offices, and some other high value or sensitive sites continue to be held in exclusive jurisdiction. So then what is the third category of jurisdiction? Concurrent legislative jurisdiction is the third type. It is considered partial jurisdiction because the federal government shares law enforcement responsibilities with state and local officers. In other words, should a crime occur on an area owned concurrently with the state, either federal law enforcement or a state or local law enforcement agency can respond, and they can investigate and arrest or charge the suspect. If the federal officer or the agent handles the case, then that suspect would be tried in federal court. If arrested and charged by a state or local officer, the case will instead go to its local court. So that is some of the best information that I could glean from this. Probably, there's obviously some state laws that would have to be ironed out, and so this is what the question was: what was going on here? And being from this particular place, I'm pretty sure that above that particular building is law offices and other items in that same building. So are they federally owned? Are they city owned? Who has jurisdiction to call? Who has jurisdiction to kick people out? All that type of stuff. So that is what I was talking about the plain view doctrine, what the officers saw, and also what we're going to talk about now is the exclusionary rule, right? So the reason that I think that this particular individual got off on a technicality was they really couldn't settle on who was supposed to call. So the original call, so again, the officers get there because what are they investigating? They're investigating someone who was asked to leave, criminal trespass. That's all day, all night. That's not an issue. But the original issue, right? The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine says it's the exclusionary rule. In other words, what was the original charge? What was the original cause that caused the police officers to get there, to cause them to conduct their investigation? And if the reason that they were about to conduct their original investigation was erroneous, everything else from that stemmed from there was illegal. Remember, before I gave you the concept or the example of a police officer who pulls someone over for a motor vehicle violation and then sees some criminal activity within the car, a weapon, drugs, something else, something like that. But if the original motor vehicle stop was erroneous, illegal, and the officer had no right to be where they were, then everything else that they would have found from that particular investigation would have been deemed the fruit of the poisonous tree and would have been inadmissible in a court of law. And that's what I think. This is what I think that the problem was in this particular case. Who the original charge was, or the original concern was, does this person have the right to film in this particular location? And the answer to that, according to the time about 4 years ago, was yes. According to the law I just read, is still yes. So you don't have the right, the supervisor in this particular case didn't have the right to ask the person to stop recording and didn't have the right to call the police. Well, they can call the police if they want, but the police are then acting upon the supervisors. This is where it gets a little hairy at. The supervisors asking, listen, we want this person to leave. And that's what the officer, when he went into the behind the building, excuse me, behind the office there and talked to the supervisor. So we asked him we asked him 4 times to leave, one by the worker and then 3 times by the supervisor. Turn off the camera and leave. So that's what the officer is acting upon. This person who is in charge of this particular building doesn't want you here and wants you to leave, right? The problem with that is that the origin of the issue was that he was recording and he should not have been in that particular. He should not have been asked to leave or stop recording. That was the issue. So that's why I think they got off on the technicality. So this is where it gets a little hairy at. And as you can see from this, if you go through the rest of the that particular podcast, which is on federal law enforcement training centers, fletc.gov, territorial jurisdiction, federal property. If you put that in territorial jurisdiction of federal property, if you put that in, I'm sure you can come up with that. Maybe I'll even put it in the show notes here, so you can go over and listen to the podcast if you're so inclined. But that's where I think that he got off on that. So they were wrestling about this back and forth. Who has jurisdiction, and what are we exactly talking about? Are we talking about criminal trespass? I wasn't in court. I haven't read the transcripts. I'm just saying from my understanding of what happened in this particular case. So I would almost guarantee that my assessment of this is correct. So what is the law enforcement takeaway from this? Well, the law enforcement takeaway from this is number one is have a clear-cut jurisdictional cross-referencing as who can make arrests and what is going on. That's number one, right? Having in writing, okay, on post offices, police officers can make this arrest. State troopers can make this arrest, and we're going to have concurrent jurisdictions. And what court you're going to go to? Is it federal court you're going to go to, or is it state court that you're going to go to? Okay, so have all that ironed out. Next is, you gotta know what you can do. People are still going to be trying to videotape us. So you can't tell them to turn off the camera. You can't. It's confiscated from us for all these months. If you are, you better use it as evidence, right? So understand all that. Make sure you dig into the legality of seizing evidence and what you're going to do and how it's going to be held and processed and all that. So make sure your P's and Q's as far as your state laws are well understood. Have the training. Make sure that people are that your people, law enforcement personnel, are following instructions, following directions, and so that they know and be able to look things up and have these definitive answers, right? So it's unfortunate that this was a situation that has gone on from my own backyard here. And listen, lastly, law enforcement must look presentable at all times, presentable and professional at all times. So turn your hats around, be squared away, all that kind of good stuff, right? So that was not a good look. So that's my thoughts. That's my opinions, right? Fruit of the poisonous tree, exercising your First Amendment rights, right? The right to be in a place and where you can speak your mind, and stifling of the press and all that kind of stuff. Oh, so let me put this up here too. All right, so we'll finish this off here with this particular section here. And this is the Committee to Protect Journalists. This is cpt.org, cpj.org. I am not a journalist, so I'm just going to assume what they're saying is correct here, right? So this is Guide to Legal Rights in the United States, July 1st. This is relatively recent. The Committee to Protect Journalists is responding to the needs of journalists in the United States as they face a range of challenges, from confrontations with law enforcement at demonstrations to raids on newspaper offices, and learn to navigate what has become an increasingly hostile environment for many in the media, right? So we go down here, right? So this is actually a PDF you can download in case you want to get into this, right? This might become really important for for YouTubers, podcasters, etc. First Amendment right to journalists. The First Amendment protects both the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press. Journalists have the right to access public places or to gather and disseminate news. Public places include sidewalks, public parks, but not private property. In addition, for government-owned property, even those that allow for limited access to public, members of the public, protesters, and reporters may be barred if the location is not itself public. For instance, private areas of the courthouse or jail. In hours of access for journalists are not limited to where the general public is permitted. Right, and then it goes into private property, and that becomes important. Because of this guy going on this guy's property, the Sergeant Fahey, and then having his face spit on. Okay, and this goes to right to record. Most courts have determined that the First Amendment protects the right to make video recordings of police officers when they are in public, although this right can be subject to time, place, and manner restrictions described above, and recording or covering the demonstrations of law enforcement activity should be conducted in a manner that is not obstructing or threatening the safety of others or physically interfering with law enforcement. This right has been recognized by over half of the nation's courts of appeals, including the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, and 11th courts. The Supreme Court and all other appellate courts have not affirmatively ruled for or against the right. Some states have recently passed legislation prohibiting recording or approaching within a short distance of police officer, regardless of whether their conduct actually interferes with the officer's law enforcement activities. For example, Indiana passed a law in 2023 prohibiting I lost my place here, recording or approaching within a short distance of police, regardless of whether the conduct actually interferes with the officer's law enforcement activities. Let's see. For example, Indiana passed a law from approaching within 25 feet of an officer after being ordered not to approach. A journalist challenged the constitutionality of the law because its potential limit to right to record, but the federal district court that the law is constitutional. As of spring of 2024, the ruling is under appeal in the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. In Arizona, in 2022, law prohibiting the recording within 8 feet of a police officer was held to be unconstitutional. Journalists should be cognizant of local legislation and that may impact the manner in which they may record the police. The right to record also exists in the U.S. at the U.S. border, and in 2020, the U.S. government entered into a binding settlement that it prohibits Customs and Border Patrol agents from infringing on the right to record activity from the public accessible areas, yada, yada, yada. You got to be careful who, and it's got to be written that you can actually record the audio. Many states have eavesdropping or wiretapping statutes that prohibit recording private conversations without the consent of one or both parties in the conversation, and some states have statutes that apply to public conversations. I think that they should do that for everyone. I don't think that unless you are, I think that the laws ought to be passed that, given the abundance of cell phone footage, et cetera, that if you don't consent to be recorded, you're in trouble. Right? That's would be my assessment. Again, as a private citizen, I don't want people. Let me make this clear. I don't want people doxing me or anyone else. I don't want people recording my anything else that I have going on as a private citizen, right? If you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation, but I don't think it's fair to record people as they're in public, right? And without their express written consent. So that is what this brother is standing on here. So, yeah. Let's see. What else do I got here? Do I have anything else I'm going to elaborate on? All right. We'll close out here. We'll add this one to the stage here. Present share screen. Here's journalism in the digital age. This has come from cs.stanford.edu. The people, E. Roberts, the author, Journalistic Ethics, the Society of Professional Journalists, Code of Ethics enjoins journalists to seek truth and report it, minimize harm. This includes demonstrating compassion for sources, subjects of story, protecting the privacy of individuals, and interesting the code makes no prohibition to interfere with national security, and to independently be accountable. Right. So, yeah, So this is from Al Jazeera. You can read through all that if you like, but that's where it is. So that's what this dude in his videos should be attempting to do, since he calls himself a journalist. You know, to me, it's just an adjective. But let me know your thoughts, your opinions. In law enforcement, listen, you know, if you want to stop all this kind of craziness, you've got to be able to, you know, have your people well trained, and got to be able to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and being what they're supposed to be, knowing what they're supposed to know, and all that. And you know, all we do is put out. Listen, as a foreign instructor and captain, I can tell you, you have to. Here's what I'll say: it's, you know, you put out the information, whether it's received or not, is on them. I mean, you do the best you can. You make sure that the training is there, available, frequent, and all that. But everything else is going to be on them. So let me know about your opinions in the comment section. Like the video, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And let's make it what to do, right? So I had a couple more videos coming out about this particular guy. Why he continues to addict police. Does he have anything better to do? We'll find out.